Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we are going to take a look at 3 more of those mini PNSO figures that I absolutely have been adoring on the channel, and something that I think a lot of you viewers have been looking forward to. So far everybody seems to be enjoying these mini figures from PNSO, so I've got 3 more for you today. And one thing that is cool is that so far, honestly, although there are definitely going to be some repeats as far as different species go, well, not really species, but I mean like theropods, sauropods, ceratopsians, things like that. But so far, I have yet to actually be able to repeat a certain type of dinosaur. So that just really shows you the range of figures that are included here when it comes to these PNSO minifigures. So today we are going to take a look at some feathered versions. We've got the Yuyan Sinosauropteryx. This one, I don't know how to say the name, Maomao the Mei, and this last one, I am not even going to attempt to pronounce that name because there would just be an absolutely terrible attempt and I would butcher it probably beyond belief, but it is the Tianyulong. And these 3 look unbelievable at first glance, especially this Tianyulong over here. I am very interested in seeing that one when I get it out of the package, but honestly all of these I really want to see up close and personal. So let's get a closer look real quick at the package. You can see there again the habitat of the Sinosauropteryx. Very cool. Love the way they do that with these. And same goes for the Mei, which I believe is how you say the name of that, but I'm not positive. I could be messing that up. And again, the Tianyulong doesn't really appear to have much of a background or anything. It's just kind of a darker coloration, so I assume it's at night. But regardless, let's get a closer look. And there we go, they are now out of the package, and boy do they all look incredible out of the package and up close and personal. So let's take a look at of course, the habitat of the Sinosauropteryx, and then we open it up. Look at that artwork. That is just something to behold. Incredible looking. These little booklets that you get are just so beautiful. They are almost worth the price of admission just for the figure to get the booklet. Again, the little wooded habitat that this would live in, and there's a very cool shot of the Mei itself. Absolutely awesome. And then, of course, the Tianyulong. Such a crazy looking animal. Super cool. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and take a closer look at the actual figures. So we'll start with the Sinosauropteryx and start up here at the head sculpt. You can see that the head sculpt is very nice. There is lots and lots of detail included. The eye has a nice black ring around it, and the eye itself is yellow with a black pupil. Nice and large. You can see the teeth are sculpted right there on the mouth. Very beautiful sculpting done here. The underside looks very cool in the throat area, and you can see that there are like 2 different shades of brown right here on this snout of the animal, and then it kind of tapers off to a white, and then of course you get the black ring around the eye, and the eye itself is yellow with black like I mentioned previously. And then after the white it tapers off to a brownish coloration again. Then as we come down the neck you can start to see that featheration really taking form a little bit. It's kind of just a real light featheration, it looks like. Very nicely sculpted. There isn't too much in the way of the detail of it, but it really looks quite nice. And then we come down and you can see the arms are sculpted very nicely. Can't really see too much, they're so small. It's such a small minifigure, but they definitely do look very nice. Come back up, that beautiful featheration. A very, very light featheration runs down the entire course of the side here into the leg, and you can see that it's very nicely, it's more prominently sculpted here on the leg, I think, than it is elsewhere, especially in the hip region, and you can definitely make out the hip bone there, elaborated. And again, actually up here you can see the shoulder blade here elaborated. I did not mention that previously, but it looks very nice. You can't really see too much in the way of musculature in the thigh or anything, but it's completely covered in feathers, so it would be pretty tough to make out. And then coming down here into the leg, you can see that that foot is sculpted very nicely. It just kind of appears to be running along a forest floor, skipping maybe or hopping over a tree branch. But you can see just here, there are numerous different shades. You can see like right here in the hip, there's like a darker shade of almost an orangey yellow type color, leading to a lighter yellowy color. So there are so many different, again, tones of coloration in the body. The underbelly is more of a whitish color, but then there's this slight color change in between. Very cool the way they've painted it. And then as you come down into the leg, you can see it change to a brown, and then it just gets darker the closer it gets down to the foot. Very nicely done. And then we come up here into the tail, and the tail is in a very cool upward position. It looks very neat. Beautiful feathering, again, runs out the entire length of the tail, and it's got these very cool looking stripes to really just give it a very appealing and very striking appearance. Taking a look at the opposing side, you can again see the arms right there. The shoulder blade is elaborated. Again, the coloration of the hand is a darker coloration from the rest of the arm, but you can just see the different tones of color as I turn it here. And then we come back again to that featheration that runs the length of the stomach. Coming back here, you can again see the hip bone coming down into the calf. Very nicely done. You can kind of see the feathers right here at the lower part of the thigh is a little bit thicker than it is elsewhere, so it's cool to see some difference in the way the featheration is sculpted. Actually, you can really get an idea of that all over, and now that I'm really taking note of it, the feathers appear to be different lengths. It looks very cool, actually. And again, the foot is up over this, and it almost actually kind of appears as though maybe it's tripping over that as it's trotting along. It's actually kind of cool. I've never seen a figure that had that kind of appearance before. I'm not sure if that's the goal behind this, but if it is, that's very, very cool. And then again, we come out to the tail. You can see that beautiful sculpting of the feathers and those really nice looking white stripes that run the length of the tail and just give it such a very cool, striking appearance. Definitely an awesome figure. Then we take a look at the Mei, and this is really neat to me because it's a sleeping version of a figure. You don't get too many sleeping versions of anything because it's just not something that people like to create. I don't know why, because I think it looks really, really cool, and I really dig this figure simply for that reason. You can see that the actual sculpting of the detail is beautifully done. The featheration and everything all on the wing here just looks incredible, even around the eye. It just looks so real the way it's sculpted, and that very nice, calm, and relaxed sleeping stance that it has with its head back in its wing looks super cool. Featheration all over the place just looks awesome. I really like the featheration right here behind the eye. That black kind of stripe that leads out the behind the eye. Everything is just sculpted so nicely and so very realistically. Featheration on the wing just looks incredibly nice. And then you can kind of see that it's got some variation of yellows and whites all over the place. Of course, the black is spread throughout the body. You see that it does, like I said, has that black stripe with some white around that area of the face, and then that yellow kind of runs the top of the head down into the shoulder area, and then it becomes the primary coloration of the body, it seems. It's got some black spots, and then again the tips of the wings are also black. The featheration on the entire body does look very cool. You can see the hip bones are very nicely elaborated, and then it kind of leads down to an underbelly that appears to be very whitish and very light in coloration, and you can see the tail feathers here leading out that are just sprawled out on the ground. They all appear to be sculpted incredibly. So much detail in the featheration on something that is so small. It really looks quite incredible, and I assume it's probably just laying on a forest floor, taking a nice little nap. A really, really cool scene. Something, again, that you don't really see companies make is a sleeping animal, and that is what we got here from PNSO, and I think it looks awesome. And my favorite of the bunch, just because it is so incredibly weird looking, the Tianyulong, and wow, does this look just absolutely awesome. You can see up here at the head, the sculpting of the actual head is incredible, and you can see that it's just got a black eye, nice, very dark black eye. The nostrils are sculpted out very nicely, and you can see that there is kind of like a lighter coloration that kind of rings around the eye there. And there is a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot of different tones of coloration all throughout just the head of this figure. It's incredible just how many different variations of color are in the head alone. And you can kind of see a tooth there. Looks very cool. You can see it there as well. And then we lead down here into the neck. You can see that featheration really start to pick up. And even under the eye there, you can see the featheration. When we get down here, you can see the shoulder blade elaborated. Beautiful looking arms come down. They look to be very nicely sculpted. And we get the stripes that start to appear all over the place. It's got like a long black stripe that goes pretty much the course of the body, but it's also got some white stripes there as well. And again, many different shades and various tones of coloration all throughout the body. Featheration looks very good as well. You can see the musculature here on the back leg, and that featheration gets kind of thick here around the hip area and down into the thigh. You come down, you can see the feet are sculpted really nicely. It just kind of appears to be standing in a rocky area, maybe in a mountainous terrain. And then you can see the beautiful musculature and everything is all present. Looks very, very cool. Even the base itself is sculpted very nicely. So much work has gone into just the base. There are so many different rocks and stuff all over the place. And you can see up here on the back, these feathers that stick up off the back, which is one of the things that makes this just so striking, are painted really nice. It's got kind of a darker coloration, and then it leads to this lighter coloration on the edges of the feathers. It just looks super, super cool. And then we lead out the tail here. Again, that featheration continues, and the tail is up in a very upward stance to this very big, bushy tail feather that it's got going on here, and it looks so cool. And again, from this side, same deal as the other side. Very, very nice looking, very striking, super cool looking. Something that I just feel like is probably, this actually might be my favorite out of all these minifigures so far, just because it is so off the wall looking and so awesome. The sculpt work is incredible, the paint job is incredible, everything is just jaw-droppingly beautiful with this figure. And the very somewhat bushy looking featheration is sculpted very nicely, and the stripes run out the tail, nice white stripe that runs the length of the tail, and then up into that very bushy finish to the tail. Again, very, very cool looking, and it's got a very bright yellow underside, but it's all applied so naturally and so realistically. Absolutely awesome figure. As far as a size goes on these guys, for the Sinosauropteryx, you're looking for a length about 2 1/4 inches or about 5.5 centimeters, and for a height, because of the tail, it's pretty tall, about 3 3/4 inches or about 9.5 centimeters. For the Mei, who is super small, about 2 inches or about 5 centimeters in length, and for a height, you are looking at about 1.5 inches or about 3.5 centimeters. And for the Tianyulong, again, I don't know for sure if I'm actually saying his name correctly because I'm not too familiar with this species, but you are looking at just under 4 inches or about 10 centimeters in length, and for a height, about 3.5 inches or about 9 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, and again, you can see he really quite dwarfs them, although these are actually, funny thing is, they're probably the smaller species, but as far as the minifigures go, they're probably the bigger minifigures out of all the ones that I've reviewed so far, because honestly, they don't look super tiny. Maybe the Mei does, but the other two don't look super, super tiny compared to Mr. Papo Rex. So, that should give you a pretty good idea, though, about the size of them. So these are 3 very, very cool figures, and honestly, they are all species that I didn't really know too much about. I still really don't know too much about, but I am quite intrigued to learn more about them, and they are all really, really beautiful looking figures that PNSO has created, again, in minifigure form. But man, do they look nice. And it's 3 species that honestly I don't think they've even seen the light of day as far as figures go in the past. I have never seen one, so it's very exciting again for PNSO to be pulling out obscure species like these 3 here and creating them in figure form for all of us. I also love the fact that they have included a sleeping version here, which is another awesome addition to these figures. Not to mention, all 3 of these are all in different poses, which makes them all super cool. They really are beautiful, beautiful renditions of each of these prehistoric creatures, and the paint jobs and sculpts are all really top notch. They are about as good as you're going to get, and in such a small figure form, it's super impressive as always to me just how darn nice these PNSO minifigures end up looking. Of course, you get the awesome booklets with them that include pictures of the habitat they live in and the full-colored picture of the actual animal, and that is also another amazing touch to these minifigures. So if you are on the fence about purchasing any of these minifigures, trust me, just pull the trigger and do it. You are going to be completely satisfied with your purchase because overall, they are definitely worth the money. So as always, I will put links in the description to each and every one of these figures, and then I will link you to the entire box set of all of the PNSO minifigures on the Amazon PNSO store. No matter what way you go, you aren't going to go wrong when you buy these minifigures because they are just that nice. So go ahead, click those links, go buy some minifigures, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.